Ain't nothing cutesy about this gigantic animal. Okay? From reading the book must be fine. Girl, this is not the thing that you should be doing. And killed him. I wish they were alive so they can do time. Hard time. Water. How you burn water? How you burn water? Welcome to the vlog where we're talking about Noir Apothecary. Noir Apothecary is a place in Toulouse Parish where it's cozy, that's where you gotta be, right? So we're going to continue to read some books that are that's on my radar, books that I want to read. It's based off the video that you saw before this of my 10 recommendations of cozy mysteries. So I'm going to start this vlog off much earlier, like a month before you'll actually see this. I really need to read some cozy mystery, and I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, I think I have Chirp Books is where most of my cozy mysteries are housed. Chirp Books is an amazing website. No sponsorship, but it's amazing. I like Chirp Books. I think I'll start off with Murder by Page 1 by Olivia Matthews. And this is a Peach Coast Library mystery from Hallmark Publishing. So I'll go ahead and start reading this book and then let y'all know how I feel about it. But I just really am in a cozy mood and I'd rather read cozy right now. So this vlog is probably going to be like the longest vlog. It might take me 2 months to finish it because I'll be weaving in and out. But let's just go on that road with me, of course, in every vlog that I do moving forward, because people tell me all the time how much they like my food in my vlog. There will be a recipe or two, who knows. And then I'll just continue, you know, talking, showing y'all what I've been up to. And I'm excited for y'all to jump in, so let's get into it. Continuing on the cozy mysteries in the Noir Apothecary section for Blackoween and just black cozy mysteries that you should read, we're going to continue. So we're going to talk about Double Mocha Blues. This is a cozy mystery, probably one of my faves to read. It's a cozy mystery, but it feels like it's a step above. So this is a story following this girl named Josh, and Josh is working at this hip-hop cafe and it's just a vibe. She's trying to figure out, what do I need to do to increase awareness of what happened to my grandfather, a grandfather that she didn't get to meet. So as I'm going through this book, I am convinced that one of the characters has a lot to do with what happened, right? And I know that while you're reading this book, you're like, it has to be someone from this family or someone connected to the woman that died. But I think the way that this author really wrote down all of the like facts or how they wrote or set up this book was done really well, in my opinion, because I feel like there still was a level of added suspense that I always tend to want in cozy mysteries, and it's not there. So I'm really interested into reading more books by this author, because there are moments that the main character was alone with a suspect, or pursuing a fact, and it wasn't just like the cozy mystery of like, oh, they almost had a brush with danger. In this cozy mystery, it felt like, no, that was a real life danger. You know what I'm saying? It went beyond Hallmark, if you know what I mean. What I would have wanted also from this book, and this is just a part of the story and the plot, not necessarily like, I don't know, not necessarily something that I felt like would have made or break, but this is like something that I'm thinking could have made the plot better. I wish that a couple of the people who was alive when they beat up this girl's grandfather and killed him, I wish they were alive so they can do time, hard time, for what they did to that man. But unfortunately they're dead in the book, and hopefully they're chilling in Diablo land. So let's hope that's what's happening. There's also like a kind of like budding love interest I think I'm seeing, that I would love to explore that more into this book as well. I will say that this is a series, and I don't know how many books are in the series. I can look. Let me try to figure that out. It's called the Joss Miller Mysteries, and that was book 1, and then A Latte Mayhem is next. I'm excited to see what that one's about, because I'm really enjoying this story so far, and I just want to know what's going to happen next. I think at some point I want to try another series from this author to see if the vibes are still the same. So that's what I have for that one. So then I will continue reading some books for this video, and then I'll check in later. Okay, y'all. Okay, y'all, so I'm here to talk about Murder on Page 1, and I'm sad because I don't know if my files got corrupted or where they're at. I'm just gonna give you a review on it. So Murder by Page 1 by Olivia Matthews is my first Olivia Matthews that I haven't read. I also started to read Against the Current, which is also in this vlog, but I wanted to pause and just come on and talk to you about Murder by Page 1. So it follows a story about this young woman named Marvy. She's a librarian. She is from a big city in New York, and she goes to this small town, I guess it says in Georgia, and while she's there, she is like really adamant, which I love, about asking people, do you have a library card, so that, you know, they can get more people to patronize libraries so that they can increase funding, etc., etc. But one of her good friends have a bookstore there, and then someone goes murdered. So she goes and she just does like this amateur detective thing to try to figure out what happened. But also her family are just like very involved in her life. They are overprotective, and they are just like, girl, this is not the thing that you should be doing. So she's kind of low-key doing it without informing her family. So she also has a cat, where the cat is just not having a good time in this place and showing signs of depression. Yes, cats and animals can be depressed as well. So showing signs of that, and she's just feeling very stuck on how to help her cat and also how to help her friend. So she's really going around and trying to figure out like what happened to the woman that died and who knew her. And as you continue to read this book, you start to realize that, you know, this woman is not everything is not cracked up what you think it's supposed to be. Or, you know, even though this woman had a reputation, it didn't mean that she deserved to be dead. She did not deserve the way she went out. But you find out more about her partner, a little bit about her past. It felt like pulling at teeth, trying to understand more of her past. But I think the author was trying to get you to understand, like, there is not a lot known about this woman. She keeps her life very, very private. There's also assumptions that people made about this woman that you find out if it's true or not while reading this book. It just feels like Murder by Page One had so many levels of intrigue. It was the intrigue of this woman moving from a big town to a small town. It was her relationship with her cat, which I know, y'all know I'm not cat lovers, but somehow I was feeling that. It was her trying her best to clear her friend's name of this murder that she knows that her friend didn't commit. It was her going out and asking the real questions. Didn't matter if it bothered law enforcement or not. She was trying to get eyes off of her friend. And it also shows like how important friendships are, that you're like, I'm literally going to risk my life and my well-being to make sure that you're okay, and to prove to people that you didn't do what they're trying to say that you did. So I really enjoyed Murder by Page One. All right, I'll catch you in the next clip. Okay, so I want to talk about the other book that I'm almost done reading. I probably should focus on that book and then end. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So let me go ahead and take that book up right now so I can just go ahead and finish reading it. So the book that I'm talking about, I'm 80% through, so I do have not a lot to say, but some things to say. It's called Lost and Found in Harlem it's a Ross Agency mystery, and I talked about it in the video that you saw last week. So in this book, it is written very well. It's kind of like cozy mystery meets historical fiction vibes. Just vibes. It's really good to me. So it follows the story of this guy named Shelba Rook. And Shelba Rook is a character that really took me by surprise. Took me by surprise mainly because I don't often read books that are from a male perspective. And I often don't like them when I do. So reading this have been really refreshing to me and letting me know that there are books out there that are written by male that do have a male perspective, that are not filled with misogyny and predatory behavior, because most of it when you're reading crime fiction has that. And sometimes I want a break and I want to be released from those narratives. So reading this book has been a good eye-opener, I would say. So this is a story about this guy named Shelba, and he is working in this house, and you will read it to know what kind of house it was. And then out of nowhere, the house burns down. And as the house is burnt down, he is trying to figure out what is his next move. So he gets contact to go talk to somebody else who, just a person who has a lot of influence in the community and have a lot of money and a lot of pull. He goes and talks to them about a job. And one of the jobs is to be a security guard of sorts to this guy who has a lot of power and influence and wealth daughter. And when he meets her, he's like, wow, this woman is beautiful, but I gotta play my cards right, you know what I mean? So even though he is really focused on his job, focused on the safety of the people that he's protecting, he's also developing feelings for this woman. Now, as I'm continuing to read the story, there are so many things that are being unpacked in this story. Also in this story, there is a woman who ends up being killed in the fire, and the main character, Shelba, is just trying to figure out, was it done intentionally or not? But he's also trying to investigate like some things where it's going to get him in trouble with his boss. And it's going to turn things sour in a way. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to turn things a little sour with the woman that he also go on these, like, I don't want to say adventures, but do these business deals with, again, which is the man who has money and have influence, his daughter. So he is like going around with his daughter, trying to figure out some things, doing business things with her. But there was a time in the book, and I hope this is not a spoiler, where he was trying to figure out like what happened to the person who died a little bit, but also trying to do his job. and then the girl found out, the girl name is Sabrina, she found out and kind of like chewed in him of being like, you know, your priority is this job, it's not doing this other stuff. You need to focus here. And to me, that kind of felt unfair, and I felt for him in that moment. Like, you didn't have to, you know, do him dirty like that. And it also feels like she is unsure if she likes him or not. So the romance interest or the romance subplot of this is a little confusing, because there's like moments of like pure heat and like, I want you, you want me, but then it just gets sizzled out so quickly. So I honestly don't know where the author is heading with this romance, especially since that this is like the first book in the series, I believe. So I'm going to continue reading the book and figuring out if Shelba is able to piece together who set the fire and who killed this woman. But I'm confused on how he's going to be able to do it while also trying to do his job. That's the confusing part of it. But I'll keep reading, and then I'll let you know my end results as I continue reading the book.
Good morning, it's the next day. I need to shower and everything, but I started reading Against the Current by Olivia Matthews. And it follows the story of this young woman who doesn't have a lot of confidence in herself and really struggling with standing up for herself. And she had this dream since childhood to open this West Indian bakery to showcase her culture, her heritage, and her food. And all of her family is a part of it. But she set up this bakery in a community where there's another like West Indian bakery. So the owner, who's a man, came in, intimidated her. She stood up for herself. She kicked him out. And then the next day, the cops showed up and was like, where were you at midnight? Because the man that you publicly cursed out or stood up for yourself the day before, he was found murdered. So now I am at the part where I'm listening to her family and stuff, try to support her in this. So that's how far I got. I think that I'm also, because it's a gloomy day and then my allergies are too legit to quit today, I'm gonna make myself a coffee. I wanted to make myself a tea, but I think I want coffee. And then I'll just continue working and listening to this book. See you in the next clip.
All right, y'all. I am getting ready to go out of town. I thought I would come on here and tell y'all about a book that I'm reading. Hold on. Okay. It was giving wonky. So I am finishing. I have 5 minutes left. Against the Current by Olivia Matthews. This is my second Olivia Matthews, and I'm thinking they're going to be an auto read as far as cozy mysteries. So Against the Current follows Grenadian family from the Caribbean, and this young girl, she had a dream always to open up her own bakery to kind of share her cultural foods. And as she opens up this bakery, there's so much excitement about it. Everyone in her family has invested in this with her. They all have faith in her. She has a brother who, from reading the book, must be fine, and he is a lawyer. And one day this guy comes in, and I probably already said this before, but this guy comes in, he's angry, whatever, he dies. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to be the one to try to figure out what happened, because I need to get the heat off of me. And that seems to be like what happens in amateur sleuths. Like if it happens in their place of business, then that person has to go figure out what happened to get the heat off of them. But what I will say about Against the Current is that even though it's qualified as a cozy mystery, there was some real, like, I guess non-cozy elements of it, of the sense of like when the character was starting to really go into her investigation of how the person died. She went ahead and was walking outside or something like that. And then next thing you know, you hear pop, pop, pop. And like this car tried to run her over. I don't know why I laughed, but the way the author said pop, pop, pop made me laugh. So here we are. Sorry, that was inappropriate, but that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, so there was that part. I felt like I don't usually like get that type of thing in cozy mysteries, or the cozy mysteries that I read. It's like people holding a gun up to you and being like, you try to catch me and I'm gonna kill you, and then the amateur sleuth kind of outsmarts them with their mind and their words. But this one had several moments of danger. But overall, I like this one. I think I'll give it a 4.5. It was a book that I just went right through. I didn't have a lot of pauses. I definitely listened to it on my commute mostly, but it was good to me. I also really loved the grandma and how she just kept reminding the main character that we are family and we'll figure this out together, in addition to her brother being really supportive of her, being really proud of her and trying to help her. And then she just has such lovely parents who really want to make sure that she's okay and willing to put their life on the line to make sure that she's okay. So I thought that that was pretty cool. I think there might be some kind of budding romance happening here, and I think this is a series. Yep, the first Spice Owl Bakery mystery, and the name of the bakery is called Spice Owl as well. So I think I'll continue that. It's the food element of this. If you're looking for like a cozy mystery where food is heavily woven throughout the book, this is not it. It's kind of like a salt bait action of food. What's really being focused on is the actual murder and her investigation as an amateur sleuth. There is some food stuff in it, but it is not the main thing. Oh yeah, one more thing. The pace was done really well. It didn't make you feel like there was over explaining at times. You didn't feel like you were waiting for paint to dry. It just went ahead and did what it needed to do. Also, I think that there was a couple like side stories that kind of throw you off, and it threw me off for sure. Like at the end, I didn't realize that the person who killed her rival bakery killed them. I was like, what? And then when all the pieces came together, I said, oh, that makes sense. So for me, it needs to make sense in the sense of like, okay, when I think about all the clues and the facts that was presented to me, that made sense, versus like, what? The mailman who was only mentioned once? But that wasn't the case in this book. So I really appreciated that and definitely get into it. I wanted to do like different authors for this vlog, but I'm really diving into Valerie Burns and Olivia Matthews. So, and I think that's okay, but I wanted to do different ones. And for Blackoween, I might do different ones as well. But this is 2 parts sugar, 1 part murder by Valerie Burns. So just to get a recap, in this delectable new cozy series, social media maven Maddie Montgomery perfectly grammable life has become undone, and she's starting over in a tiny town with one giant problem: a killer on the loose. When Maddie Montgomery groom is a no-show to their live stream wedding, it's a disaster that no amount of filtering can fix. But a surprise inheritance offers a chance to regroup and rebrand. As long as Maddie is willing to live in her late great-uncle Octavia's house in New Bison, Michigan for a year, running her bakery and caring for a 250-pound English Mastiff named Baby. This might be for dog owners. Why? Why name a gigantic animal something cutesy? Ain't nothing cutesy about this gigantic animal. Okay? Maddie doesn't bake, and her Louis Vuittons are made for walking giant dogs around Lake Michigan. But the locals are friendly and the scenery is beautiful. With help from her aunt's loyal friends, aka the Baker Street Irregulars, Maddie feels ready to tackle any challenge, including Octavia's award-winning cake recipes. That is, until New Bison Mayor is fatally stabbed and Maddie's fingerprints are found on the knife. Something strange is going on in New Bison. It seems Aunt Octavia had her suspicions too, but Maddie's going to need a whole lot more than a trending hashtag to save her reputation in her life. So I'm going to go ahead and start this book. Hopefully I'm able to finish it while I'm on vacation. and I'll let y'all know, you know, how I feel about it. And I'll see y'all in the next clip. Hello, so I'm coming to you to end out this vlog. Let me put this out because I'm hearing myself speak with that earbud. Or earbud, you know what I mean. So we're gonna talk about 2 part sugar, 1 part murder. I just threw that out there because I can't remember the title. 1 second. Okay, so like I said in the Rex video, this is a story about this girl named Maddie Montgomery. She is very wealthy. She definitely was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She definitely, you know, had some hardship, but her dad pretty much just catered to her every whim, gave her everything that she wanted. She's walking around Louis Vuitton. She's living her best life, right? And on her wedding day, something happens between her and her what's supposed to be soon to be husband, and she gets contacted by this lawyer saying, hey, your aunt in the middle of nowhere, that's where she lives, has passed on and gave you her properties. And she's like, I don't know if I want to do this. So she goes and do it. While she's there, she meets her aunt's friends who are in the bakery that her aunt owned. She also meets people who keeps coming to her house and being like, hey, we really want this property. We try to tell your aunt that, you know, this would be a really good property, because there are people who are trying to take the property and develop on the land, and that cannot happen because her aunt left it in the will that she has to live there for a year, and that she has to take care of her aunt's big mastiff, which I think mastiffs are beautiful dogs. They're gentle giants, really. They're huge, but they're gentle giants, and she has to take care of this big mastiff named Baby. I still have an issue with the mastiff name being Baby, as if it's funny, but I'm like, this is a big ass, like mastiffs are like hundreds of pounds, like they are big ass dogs. So I'm like, Baby? But anyway, so following this story, I feel like that one thing that irritated me, and I'm just gonna let you know that right off bat, the one thing that irritated me was the first half of the story, when she spoke about herself, or like trying to figure out this town, or trying to decipher the messages that was left to her by her aunt. She kept just saying hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. And the thing is, I know that was part of like a phenomenon of, and I forget the year that this book was written in. Hold on, let me figure that out. It was written in 2022, but I do know that there was a time when I was in college, so like 2012, 2011, where a lot of people use or said hashtag something, and just having to have the audio narrator keep saying hashtag this, hashtag that, hashtag this, I was like, oh my god, I'm so over this. So I was wondering if that was going to continue throughout the book, and that would have really bumped it down in ratings for me, but luckily that didn't. So if that's something that bothers you, that I don't know why it bothered me, but it did, and I just was not feeling that. Now, what I thought was really dope is the messages that her great aunt left her about her suspicions of like what's going on in this town and what someone is trying to do. And I thought that was done really well. This book, compared to the other cozy mysteries that I read in this series, has multiple layers. Like, there's the layer of she's grieving the relationship that she's in. She's going on this self-discovery journey of trying to figure out who she is and staying 10 toes down on who she is in the face of her father, who groomed her to be incompetent and then got upset with her for choosing to stick with it and figure out what happened to her aunt. There's also a level of like becoming a caretaker, taking care of a dog. What you have to do is watching her stumble over that and knowing like you have to feed the dog, you have to walk the dog, you know, things like that. In addition to her trying to figure out her own discernment and follow her own tuition and really dig deep within herself and try to figure out, is this person trustworthy? Does this person mean me harm? Is this person actually a good person? So, you know, those things things was also a level. In addition to, not only is she's moving to this new town, there's a transition there, she's also moving to this town and being told that her aunt made this wonderful cake and she don't know how to boil water. Okay, boil water is not her ministry. It's not. So you watch her burn the water. How you burn water? How you burn water? Okay, so it's just like a lot. Sorry, y'all. One of my nephews called me and keep reminding me to come and get him, which I told him that I would at 11 or noon, and he's been calling me since 8. He said, come get me. You know how kids are. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying before, so apologize for that. But yeah, so there's just a lot of layers in this, and I really feel for the main character, because it's like you are being thrown into a lot of new things, and just the way that she's handling it, even though she's having like some inner uncertainty or even questioning herself, can I do this? And I know I'm being a little vague because I don't want to spoil the book for you. There are about 2 or 3 mysteries in this book, but it's written in a way that won't confuse you. So I know if you may hear that, you may be like, well, the author doesn't know how to tie it together. This author does. I find that there are a lot of times where the mystery or the thriller is too out there and the author doesn't know how to bring us to that conclusion, which is why I can never be an author, because brevity is not my strong suit. I have to draw out this huge map and then tell you X, Y, and Z. So that wouldn't work. But all in all, I definitely like this book. I think I would give it like a 3.75. That would be a good rating for me if I had to rate it. I know I didn't rate the other ones, but this would be a 3.75. I think I rated one other, but I can't remember. But thank you for coming on this journey while I read all of these books that were in my Rex video that I haven't read yet. And I will talk to y'all later. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, in the description box below, there are several ways that you can support my channel. One of those is being my Patreon. I also have a Ko-fi account, or just watching my content and subscribing would be awesome. So I will see you later. Bye.